Thank you so much for sitting down with us, Kelvin. This was an amazing movie. I love this movie. I feel like I've told you before how many times I've seen this movie. I think we're in a moment right now that's speaking to what happens in Black boyhood, from this movie to Loose, that you've also been in this year. So what do you think this film, or this time, I guess, is saying about what's happening with Black boys in America and how they're dealing with life?
Ultimately, I think, what Luce says so explicitly too, it's just like we've been put in a box, and I think Tyler is trying to find the words to say that, he's not understanding these generational divides and what sacrifice means, and ultimately what love and communication really is, and how do we navigate that with our parents, how do we navigate that within ourselves and in our other relationships, and how do we break the curse and the cycles that have kind of come before us, and empower ourselves to know who we are, ultimately. So they're just like, let me have an identity.
I think this is a beautiful meditation on grief as well. So some of the things that Tyler is dealing with in this movie, we don't actually get to see until later on. So you see little flashes of rage, and then you understand kind of later on where that rage and where this grief might be coming from that's not being addressed. And so what would you say about that, about how Black boys are dealing with rage, or what people can learn from how Tyler deals with or does not deal with rage and the grief that he's experiencing?
It feels like he can't say how he feels. He feels like he can't be vulnerable, and that there isn't a space where that will be accepted. So a lot of it's taking the time, he's spending a lot of time with himself and bottling it up and trying to overcome, when it just doesn't work that way. How we heal is through communication. How we heal is letting out some of these fears and insecurities and putting out on the forefront, and using other people to help us grow together. And I think, with a lot of young African-American men, we are told that we need to kind of just rise up to expectation and just deliver without checking in. And then sometimes I think in my own experiences, I've seen my father and my uncles kind of, this is such a small version of that, but in terms of masculinity, he was like, boy, you don't need to use lotion. He's like, men don't use lotion, but it's just like the small little thing makes you like think about a million other things that kind of go, well, what am I doing that makes me not a man? And, I shouldn't be sensitive, and because, women do this and men do this. And I think we're trying to navigate what that means for us in a time that's so different from the world that they grew up in, and it's overflowing. It's overflowing. So hopefully people watch the movie and start to kind of go, how am I complicit in kind of perpetuating these stereotypes?
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely think this is something that is going to hopefully start conversations for people and for families as well, and how parents talk to their children and how children talk to their parents. So have you actually had any conversations or any changes for yourself after being a part of a movie like this?
Yeah, I mean, my parents just watched it last week, and we had a long conversation about just, my dad has always shared stories about his father who's passed away, but, him reflecting on that and now being able to go, this movie it's giving me an opportunity to talk to you. How are you? Where are you? And what did I do wrong? Or what did I do right? And how can I continue to mend that relationship so that I don't repeat the cycle that, my dad did with me? And ultimately, how can I connect to my younger sisters? He was like, how do we bring the family back together? So it's making people feel like they have a space and empowering them to kind of go, it's okay to not know. It's okay to not have the answers today. We're in process and we're constantly growing. And the only way we can really become a family is if we nurture those relationships.